When the Ming dynasty fell, there was fighting everywhere. Liu Zhixing of Yelling gathered tens of thousands of troops, preparing to cross the river to join the Prince of Fu of the southern Ming. One day, a fat man suddenly appeared outside the camp's fence gate. His clothes were tattered, his belly exposed, and he requested to see the commanding officer. Liu Zhixing invited him in and conversed with him. They talked most happily. When asked his name, he said it was Caiwei. Liu Zhixing kept him in the army as an advisor and gave him a knife. Caiwei said, "I have my own weapons. I don't need things like spears or halberds." When asked where his weapons were, Caiwei lifted his clothes to reveal his belly. His navel was seen to be as big as an egg. He held his breath and puffed out his belly, and suddenly his navel protruded. With a rip sound, a sword hilt emerged. He grasped the hilt and pulled, drawing out a sword as white as frost. Liu Zhixing was greatly startled and asked, "Is this the only sword?" Caiwei smiled and pointed to his belly, saying, "This is my arsenal. I have all kinds of weapons." Liu Zhixing asked him to fetch a bow and arrows. Caiwei did as before. He took out an engraved bow, then briefly held his breath. An arrow fell to the ground, and then arrows flew out endlessly. Afterwards, he inserted the sword back into his navel, and all the weapons disappeared. Liu Zhixing found Caiwei very extraordinary. He ate and slept with him, treated him with great respect, and entertained him most generously. Although military orders in the camp were strict at the time, the subordinates were a motley crowd. From time to time, some would go out to loot. Caiwei said, "The most important thing for an army is discipline. Now that you command tens of thousands of troops, if you cannot awe the people's hearts, that would be courting self-destruction." Liu Zhixing was very pleased to hear this and seriously set about reorganizing the ranks. Anyone who looted women or property was to be beheaded as a public example. Thus, discipline in the army improved somewhat. Yet incidents of robbery still did not cease entirely. Caiwei often rode out on horseback to patrol among the various units. Those fierce generals and arrogant soldiers who disobeyed military discipline would, from time to time, inexplicably lose their heads. No one knew the reason, so everyone suspected it was Caiwei's doing. Originally, the soldiers already feared and resented Caiwei's earlier strict advocacy for tightening military discipline. Now that these things happened, everyone's resentment grew even stronger. The leaders of various units slandered Caiwei in front of Liu Zhixing. They said all of Caiwei's methods are sorcery. Throughout history, famous generals have relied on strategy and wisdom to win victories. We have never heard of anyone winning battles through magic arts. Those swordsmen and such figures all came to no good end. Now innocent officers and soldiers often lose their heads for no clear reason. The entire army is filled with rage. General, for you to associate with him is also very dangerous. It would be better to find a way to kill him. Liu Zhixing followed their advice, planning to kill Caiwei when he falls asleep. He sent someone to check on Caiwei's movements. They saw Caiwei sleeping soundly with his belly exposed. His snoring was as loud as thunder. The crowd was overjoyed and surrounded his residence. They sent 2 men with knives to go in and cut off his head. But as soon as they pulled out the knives, Caiwei's head grew back onto his body. His snoring was just as loud as before. The crowd was terrified, and then they went to cut open his belly. His belly was cut open, but no blood came out. Inside his belly, it was densely packed with knives and arrows, all with their blades exposed. The crowd grew even more frightened. They dared not approach and used long spears from a distance to poke at the knives and arrows in his belly. At that moment, the crossbows inside his belly fired continuously. Shot several people, the crowd panicked and fled, running to report to Liu Zhixing. Liu Zhixing hurried over, but Caiwei was already gone.